What's going on, people? Welcome to the match preview. Bournemouth against Palace. And I'll be honest, it is very hard to talk about this game, especially after seeing your team suffer a 5-1 defeat, which it didn't feel like it. Well, it did. I was there. I mean, I felt every goal that went in. But it was a weird game. Poor defensive performance, especially in the box. We'll be discussing that and more. Make sure to get involved. Drop a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Joined by Louis and Patrick. Both done a player ratings before this. I'll be honest, I don't know how to feel about this game, the Bournemouth one, because we've done Hambo and Tim done a match reaction. Make sure to check that out as well. There's loads of content out on Back of the Nest. It's just 5-1. It hurts. It does hurt because I don't think it was. Well, we didn't create much in the second half, but they didn't they didn't have 10 or 15 shots on target. They had 5 shots on target or 6 shots on target and scored 5 goals. They were clinical. We weren't. And the biggest thing about it, forget about being clinical, it was that we were terrible in our box. I'll start off with you, Louis. Are you concerned about Bournemouth with that defensive performance? Or
I think it gives us a chance to go back to basics, look over the tapes. Like Glasner does. I think it's a quick turnaround. Sometimes if you have a week to sit on a 5-1 result, then it can be worse. But there's 2 games in quick succession, which we could make up for. So I'm not too worried. We got extra day's rest because Bournemouth are playing today, but Bournemouth have a much better squad than us and can rotate. But yeah, I'm just trying to look at the positives and put that 5-1 to the back of my mind.
Yeah, Patrick, I guess it showed the squad depth issues, and despite the results going well for us, what was it, 1 loss in the last 9? I guess it shows that there needs to be work done, and we can do it in about a week's time or 10 days' time. So that's the biggest thing about it. Of course, we won't have some of these players for Bournemouth, but players that will be returning, Eze, who wasn't available for the Arsenal game, and I'll be honest, I didn't want him to start in the Arsenal game because I felt like he needed a rest. Who else is coming back? Lerma survived with a card suspension, so he should be available for that game as well. Chalobah should be fit. Munoz, who's a big miss. But you can see it in certain areas of the pitch, despite us having so-called depth, maybe in the centre-back area, which Richard slotted in. We could talk about him. In the full-back area, wing-back area especially, that's where the quality drop-off is quite significant for me. And having players like Munoz, even Eze after his rest, it could prove big against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into the game. Again, I'd love to banter Arsenal to now until I'm in the grave, but they are much better than us. So, yes, 5-1 hurts. And normally, Lou and I did the ratings. Normally, I go back and watch the game again, but I'm never going to watch that game again because it was just really poor. Defensively, we were bad, but at least I can look for the positives, and you mentioned it. Munoz will be back in the side. That will help us going forward and defensively. Chalobah probably comes back in. He needed a rest, so he got one. Hopefully, he'll be refreshed coming back in. Evan will be back in. So, yes, the quality of depth on our squad is lacking, and yes, we need a left wing back option for Mitchell, and maybe even a right wing back option, maybe a center midfield option, but we don't have them right now. And I think what Glover tried to do yesterday was smart, meaning just get some new players in there, rest some players. We couldn't rest Lerma and Hughes, unfortunately. Lou and I talked about the Corey. The Corey's come off an Achilles injury. He's not going to be ready to play up to where he was until maybe in the spring sometime. People killing the Corey are mad. What happened to the Corey? It's an Achilles injury. So he's coming back slowly, and like what Glass is doing with him. So hopefully Wharton is the one I'm looking for to come back at some point before even the Corey, because at least his injury wasn't something that was so debilitating. But I was upset yesterday. I'm over it, and I move on to Bournemouth, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this game. I'll be honest. Let us know in the comment section down below as well how you lot feel about it, because Bournemouth are a good side, and you expect a reaction, but maybe it's just still very raw in terms of the fact that it happened in less than 24 hours ago. But that was not the Palace that I knew. Especially defensively. Defense has been one of the strong points this season. We can say it's an off day, but was there anything tactically maybe? Was it player personnel? What was it? I don't want to talk too much about the Arsenal game, but going into the Bournemouth game, what needs to change, Louis, in your opinion?
Well, me and Pat spoke about it in the ratings. When you play against these top teams, not only physically do you have to be 100%, but mentally you have to be switched on the whole game. You can't make mistakes. Everyone has to be at 100%. If you don't pick up basic things like Jesus in the middle when you've got 3 centre halves, you're going to get punished. If you're going to leave people at the back stick, if you're going to lose your runners, if you're going to play square balls and create transitions, you're going to get battered. Like that's just what it is. Tactically, Glasner got it right. You saw Sarah and Mateta giving them issues when we went direct. But again, we don't have the personnel and the squad depth to match Arsenal. Remember, they played a weakened team in the middle of the week. They not only are they 10 times better than us, they're 10 times fresher than us. They're fitter, they're stronger than us. They're better than us at set pieces. 5-1 was always going to happen. It's what it is now is Glasner getting that out of their minds and going on to 2 games where he could pick up 4 to 6 points. But yeah,
exactly. In terms of the significance of this game, then, Patrick, I'll go to you first. How important is it that we pick up a result here after that 5-1 defeat? Because Bournemouth, the difficulty is that Bournemouth are a good side. It's not going to be easy. I'm not expecting an easy game, especially away from home. But surely, if Palace were to lose again after 5-1 defeat, you know how it's going to be. Even right now, people are upset. It won't be a good look. But for you, how important is it? Because we've got Southampton as well in a few days' time. Is it a case of, we're facing a good side against Bournemouth? Hopefully we improve performance. But even if you don't pick up a result, that's fine. We have to pick up a result against Southampton, or is it like the next 2 games, at least a draw, or at least a draw or win? What's your expectation? What's your mind frame like?
Well, you know me, I'm a one match at a time kind of person, so I'm only focused on the Bournemouth game, and I think it's important to get a result. I'm not expecting a win. Spoiler alert for the predictions, but I do think we can get something out of the match. I mean, listen, all due respect to Bournemouth, they're very good. They have done a great job of building the squad. Highly rate Iriola as a manager. He's very, very good tactically and otherwise. But I think we can get a point out of it. Quickly going back to that nightmare last year. D, you and I were at the Bournemouth game last December. Remember in the cold in the post match?
Yeah.
That was bad. That was really bad. But even the return fixture was the 1-0 game when Glasgow brought Ozil, put him at centre half, and we lost 1-0. It wasn't a terrible game for us. Right? It was 1-0, right?
I can't remember.
It was just before we went on the run. It was
April 2nd. It was the 1-0 loss. So my point is, the last couple of games we have lost to them, but we haven't. I mean, the game against the game where we were at with Hudson was terrible because the fans were turning on him. But I don't think I'm not overly worried. It's not like we're playing again another Arsenal or Liverpool or Man City. And the Man City we got a point out of them. So yes, I respect Bournemouth. It's going to be a tough game, but we can get something out of that game. So looking at that in isolation, I think that, as Louis said, the players will be able to compartmentalize a match and kind of get Arsenal out of the way. It was a one-off. It's our worst game of the season, definitely. So I think we'll be okay. And again, we'll be a little bit fresher with Ebbs coming back in and Munoz coming back in and Chalobah coming back in and hopefully getting some rest in the legs of Lerma and Hughes. So, I mean, I think we can get some out of it. It's important, but yeah.
I just want to survive this next week, to be fair. That's it with Southampton, Bournemouth. So in my head, it's like survival mode because I just feel like with the type of football that we play, fatigue is gonna kick in. We've kind of seen it even on Wednesday night after the Brighton game against Arsenal. You could tell the players went 100%. Performance was better against Arsenal in the Premier League, the game on Saturday night. However, I'm just thinking we've got those out of the way, and then we've got Bournemouth, and then we've got Southampton. Yes, these teams are playing as well, but it's just like get these next 2 games out of the way, and January it will be like a fresh start. Like you're kind of going back to normality with like a week between games, etc. And then we've got a Stockport game coming up, and for me that game is massive because I do want a cup run against again, especially FA Cup, because if we do progress in more competition, it is the FA Cup in recent years that we've done well in. But yeah, in terms of the lineup for Palace, in relation to the Bournemouth game, Richards came in against Arsenal, and I don't know how well he played. I don't think he was that great in particular. I was the one that wouldn't have minded Richards to play to see how he can do, but I don't think he's earned the spot. For me, Chalobah comes in for that. Munoz comes in, and then Eze also comes in the number 10 position. But I just want to land on the Eze number 10 position because Kamada, who got subbed off yesterday, I've seen a few comments. I was at the game, but I didn't hear anything. But apparently, people from the main stand were cheering when Kamada got subbed off. I don't think he had a bad game like that. I don't know what is it with Kamada and Palace fans right now. Is it like in the back of their minds he's already written off? Because you can't just cheer off a player when they like, especially when they're low on confidence as well. I don't think he was that bad against Arsenal, Louis.
Listen, our fan base is always going to have emotional, reactionary people who don't really understand the game. You get people doing that for Eze as well. You get people doing the exact same things for Eze. So
not on the same level though.
You'd be surprised. I've been at games. I was at the Ipswich game away, and just before he assisted Mateta, all I heard was, get him off. He's rubbish. He's lazy. He's this and that. It happens all the time. I just think Glasner's played him for a reason. I didn't think he was too bad. He was at the level that all the other players were at. I think maybe we've got this warped idea that he's this Frankfurt player that's going to, because he scored against Arsenal in the Europa League, that he's going to score against all the Premier League clubs with us. He's just going to take time. I think the team picks itself for Bournemouth, exact same team that played against Brighton. Brighton are the only team who have beat Bournemouth at Bournemouth this season.
Yep.
They're very strong at home. So it's like, if I see a meltdown over Bournemouth beating us, well, they beat Arsenal 2-0. They beat City. They beat Spurs. So what makes it any different from us going there? It's a tough league. But again, I feel like Bournemouth style probably suits the way we play. And I feel like we can get a result with those players coming back.
Well, what about fatigue, Patrick? Do you think that could be a worry in this game? Because Louis did say, I don't know if you agree with him in terms of getting the same lineup against Brighton, but that would mean Lerma, who's starting again, which they're kind of looking a bit tired-ish now, especially in the second half. Both of them got subbed off. Then you got Gahey and Lacroix, got Mateta again, Sarr, who's been scoring goals. Do you think maybe a bit more rotation is needed, or would you go back to the Brighton game, especially with some of these players not having any rest? And we've got Southampton as well coming up, that's what I'm saying. I just hate this period. This period, especially when you're down there and struggling. Yes, it's good because you can quickly focus on the next game, especially if you have results like you did against Arsenal. But it's still like there's other factors to consider because it's very hard to have a 100% fit, strong squad.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is the central two midfielders, obviously Hughes and Lerma, because they have to do so much running. And I think the 3 matches in 6 days has taken a toll. I thought they both looked very tight against Arsenal. Ebbs coming back to me is a positive. Nothing against Kamada, and I'm not scapegoat. I'm just saying, just to have him back in the lineup, he's a little bit more creative, obviously. Munoz back at right wing back, that gives us that attacking impetus on that side also. Chalobah back in for Richards, fine. I don't think Richards played that poorly against Arsenal, but Chalobah is better than him, and having him back is good. So you got 3 fresh people in there. It would be nice to have that mid. I would love to be able to rest Lerma or Hughes even for a 45 minutes in that game against Bournemouth, but it's probably not going to happen because Wharton's definitely not ready, and Decore, as we saw against Arsenal, isn't ready yet. So that's my biggest issue. But again, it speaks to our lack of squad depth. I mean, we're Crystal Palace. We know where we are, but we could have done a better job. But again, could we have anticipated Decore being so slow to come back? Probably should have anticipated that. But Wharton being out, I don't think that was anything. We all thought he'd be back and ready to go, and because we've had this discussion on here and even in some of the chats. Wharton to me is the key missing player. As good as Hughes and Lerma have been, and they've been excellent this year for the most part, they are not Adam Wharton, and Adam Wharton adds a different dimension, a pressing dimension, a ball retention issue, a way getting the ball to Munoz and Mitchell or up to Sarr and Mateta quickly to Eze. It takes pressure off Eze because he's a better passer. So than both Lerma and Hughes. So that's the key one and getting him back soon is a big deal. But yes, can we add another player as far as in the transfer window? Absolutely, a wing back is necessary. Tyreek Mitchell needs competition and needs to be rested. There's no doubt about it. He didn't play much better of late, but he looked so poor against Arsenal. So, I mean, it is what it is. But like I said, there's only so much we can really, as far as rotation. But again, having Ebbs, Munoz, and Chalobah back, I think will really help in this game.
You still got the likes of Devaney there. Would any of you include him in the lineup if you're talking about Lerman, who's been having tired legs potentially? He came on. Decore, which I guess both of you don't want Decore to start.
He's
From
not ready
sounds of it,
for me.
he doesn't look fit.
He's not ready. So as Devaney, real quick, I know Lou wants to jump in. Is that I like him more as a central midfielder, and I honestly wouldn't have a problem starting him against Southampton, but I wouldn't start him against Bournemouth. I wouldn't. So that's my thought anyway.
Lou?
I'm just looking at Bournemouth's lineup at the moment. It's not miles better than our squad. I think they've got Semenyo, who's a real danger, who will give Mitchell problems. I think a key battle will be Munoz versus Kirkez. I think they're quite similar energetic fullbacks. They've got Clivert playing in the hole. I think Van Nielsen's a good player as well. But their two centre backs are quite young. They got Huijsen from Juventus and Zabrani. I think Sarr and Mateta could cause them issues.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I think physically, pace-wise, this is kind of made for those two centre backs. Look what they did to Gabriel and Saliba.
That's what I was going to say. Mateta, especially Mateta, because Gabriel Saliba is meant to be one of the best centre backs, if not the best pairing in the Premier League. And I was watching again. I was thinking, like, Mateta's doing this to Saliba. Like, this is kind of crazy. So, in terms of that, if he can do it against Saliba, I have no worry that he can do it against any other defenders, because that he's arguably the best defender in the league, and he caused everyone problems so far this season. Mateta, to be fair, but once he's been consistent in the lineup, so yeah, in terms of like maybe the physicality of their defense, I think we've got enough to handle it. The problem for me lies in the creativity, because I think we were better in possession. Against Arsenal at home, we kept a bit more of the ball. We had our periods where we even our press was on as well. We nearly scored with Will Hughes. I think he was putting a slide tackle right that went wide on Ray.
That was right. Yeah.
So we need that intensity. The question is that no one will be able to answer is that can we do that against Bournemouth? If we do win the ball high up the pitch, then yes, we'll create chances and I have faith of us scoring goals. But that's why I asked the question, would Devaney start? Would maybe Decore start? Or anyone else you would rotate? Because it's hard to do that with so many games that we played. Like, sometimes we forget, like, they're humans. They're as much as they're physically strong, it's very demanding to do that for 90 minutes. And you have this many run of games as well. It's like recovery game. Like, it's just too much. It's too much to ask for. That's why you need to have a squad. Look at City. Look at all the other sides. With injuries as well, just it's too much football. There's too much football going on right now, and it's impacting teams. But yeah, I think this Palace squad have got it in them to get a result against Bournemouth. And let's move on to score predictions, unless anyone wants to add anything else.
They've got a centre midfielder coming off a similar type long-term injury, Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams and Ryan Christie that's not a midfield to be too scared of. I definitely think this could be a game for Ebbs, because Babella he was a bit of a destroyer in there. He's very athletic. I think if Ebbs can get some space, because he's playing on their right backs, Adam Smith, so he can find those pockets in between the midfielders and the defense. I think we could really do something. And I think Iriola's quite a progressive manager. They're not gonna sit off of us. They're gonna have a go at us. And I feel like we are good against teams who are in and around us who will come on to us.
They'll be direct though. They'll be direct.
Yeah.
The thing about Bournemouth, some people who don't watch them don't realize is like sometimes I look at stats here and there just to see how like everyone in the Premier League is doing, and they are ranked very high for long balls. They're very similar to us sometimes, like going direct.
They mix it up.
So we're gonna need lacrosse pace and Gahey, especially in that area, because they're not stubborn to just pass it around the defense. Like, they can go long and they can try and figure open spaces. So the wing back areas, for example, which with them pushing up, then we'll need the likes of Chalobah or Gahey to be able to cover in those areas, because they do love a long ball as well. They're a good side. They are a good side, and it's not the end of the world if we lose, but I think the most important thing from Palace is to have a reaction after the Arsenal game. If there's a reaction, if there's a positive performance to build on, then I think people will be at least fine with that. So it just depends on that, Patrick.
Yeah, I want to just go on to the midfield. I really rate Christie, Tyler Adams, again, I live in America, so I know I think he's a very good player. I thought he did it well, at least he got injured. But I think that Lerma, who, again, going back to Bournemouth, is going to help that. And also Hughes, that kind of midfield is what they'll do better against. They're very combative midfield, not the technically gifted midfield that he played in like against Arsenal, for instance. I think it's more like a Brighton midfield, and you see I want to play against Brighton. So I think that's a good matchup for us. I like that matchup a lot, so I think that'll be good. And Evan Nielsen, good player, but I think Lacroix can handle him. I think more of a more physical centre forward would hurt Lacroix more, but I think Evan Nielsen movement's very good and he's a good finisher. But I think we'll be okay against them defensively. Again, I think I gotta throw the Arsenal game out of the way. That was just that was a disaster, but it was also an aberration for me. So
exactly. But then to throw the Arsenal game out of the way and to say it's a blip is you want a reaction in the next game. Because if it's the same mistakes 100%. In the box and we can see silly goals then like we did, then it gets worrying. So it's up to the players now. Because for me, yes, we faced better sides, in my opinion, at Selhurst. Like Liverpool, they create chances and they were great, but we only lost 1-0. Like we haven't got thrashed like that at all.
Third game in 6 days. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it could be that. But that's what I'm saying. Like it was not normal for that to happen. It didn't feel like a 5-1 game. But then again, when they did attack, when the ball's in our box, that's when it's like, damn, like we just look sloppy all over the place. But yeah, let's go move on to score predictions. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to go for 1-0. I'll take the point. It'll give us something to build on, which we need for the Southampton game. I just don't want to lose again, especially after losing 5-1. Louis?
Oh, do you know what? This is a tough one. Do you know what? I think we might win 2-1 this game. I feel like I feel like that 5-1 will hurt us. And he'll want a reaction out of them. I feel like they're quite set up for us to hurt them. We get extra days rest. They're playing United away, so they're gonna have to dig deep. They've got quite a few injuries. I'm looking at their bench. Normally when Bournemouth play, they can change their whole attack, but I think they've only got Unai on the bench. Tavernier's injured as well. I think the return of Eze, Munoz, and Chalobah will give a morale boost to the squad, and I feel like Mitchell might have a bit more help. So I'm gonna go for 2-1 Palace.
Real quick, historically in the league, we've won 28, drawn 20, lost 31. Of the last 6, we've lost the last 2 in a row, but before that, we've beaten 4 times in a row. So we're actually pretty good against Bournemouth historically.
At their ground as well, right? I think we've got a few results.
We beat them 2-0 at Ayew and Eze away. And obviously we beat them. Remember the Schlupp game, the 1-0 Schlupp game, we're down to 10 men that game. Yeah. And obviously the 5-3 game. The 5-3
Benteke and Benteke, Scott Dan when Allardyce got his first win.
We got some good results against them. So I'm gonna be very optimistic again. I'm gonna throw the Arsenal game like it didn't happen out. I'm gonna go back to more at the Brighton game. I'm gonna go 3-1 Palace.
3-1 Palace.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1 Palace.
We got in us to create chances and score goals. Hopefully, Chalobah, Munoz is the big one. Hopefully, Munoz makes a positive impact as well, because Munoz, despite him not getting any rest, runs all around the pitch. And I saw him. I think he was in Finland, so I think Glasses
on holiday. Time off.
So he's going to be coming back and he's going to be running. If he needs to play 180 minutes, he'll play 180, 120, whatever minutes he needs, because this guy's got his rest, so that should be a positive impact. And hopefully Ebbs is bitter. It's good that we didn't play him against Arsenal, because I didn't want to play him against Arsenal, because he just keeps getting subbed off in a Brighton game and an Arsenal game around 60-minute marks, because he can't play any longer than that. And yeah, we need to bounce back. Hopefully we will bounce back. But let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. Thank you to all of you for watching it. And until next time, up the Palace.